Hi everyone, today we're going to unveil the biggest chess cheating nations in the world. I don't think this has ever been tried before, so I am fully aware of the limitations of the approach I'll be using in this video, which I will mention towards the end. But first, a few words about the data and the amount and kind of data that was used to reach the conclusions that you're going to see in this video. All the data has been taken from my account on chess.com, which is Psychic Vigilante, as you can see on screen. And it is based on roughly 10,000 games played and the names of 248 cheaters I lost to have been singled out, and you can see them on screen. That's 18 pages which are full of the names of all these cheaters. So initially we're going to look at the top 10 cheating chess nations in the world, and then I'm going to give you a breakdown of the rest. But I think it makes sense to start with the top 10. Before we name the top 10 biggest chess cheating nations in the world, I think we should say that roughly half of all the cheaters are allocated to these countries, and if you add all the percentages here in the top 10, you get 56%. And the other 44 are allocated to various other countries which have a much smaller percentage of the total, which I'm also going to let you know of after we're done with the top 10. So at number 10 we have 4 countries which are Cuba, Egypt, Spain and international. And by international I mean countries where the cheater has not used the flag to indicate their nationality. So we can just ignore international because we don't have exact data for the breakdown of all the cheaters, and the number is not that high anyway. So at number 10 I'm going to put Cuba, simply because Cuba's population is much smaller than that of Egypt and Spain, so we can consider they're overrepresented in that sense. Of course, you can argue that chess is perhaps more popular in Cuba than it is in Spain, but I don't think that that is the case, and there's virtually no way to prove that. So in this case, we are purely going to have to go based on the population size. That might not be the case when you're comparing other countries, such as we will be when we go towards the top, but we'll get to that later. So at number 10 it is Cuba with 2.2%. At number 9 we have Indonesia. At number 8 we have, and I was actually quite surprised to see this country at number 8, we have Ukraine. At number 6 and number 7 we have 2 countries with an equal percentage. So how are we going to decide which one to put at number 7 and number 6? So these 2 countries are Canada and Great Britain. So I'm going to put Canada at number 6 and Great Britain at number 7, simply because in this case Canada's population is once again smaller than the other contender for the same place, which is Great Britain. However, we can be fairly certain here that chess is way more popular in Great Britain than it is in Canada. I mean, how many Canadian grandmasters can you name? And for that reason, we can consider Canada as overrepresented here, and therefore we put Canada at number 6. At number 5, we have got Brazil. At number 4, slightly surprising perhaps, is the Philippines. At number 3, I would say is the biggest shock, to me personally at least. At number 3, we have France. At number 2, we've got India. And at number 1, we have the United States of America. So this is the top 10. Now we're going to look at all the other countries, and we're gonna go through each and every one. So this is how the final chart looks. You can see the name of most of the countries on the chart. Because there are so many countries, they simply do not fit on the chart, but the ones that are missing are fairly insignificant because they're the ones that have one cheetah representing them, so they're not really that important. So we're going to start going down from international, which we said was fighting for the 10th place. And as you can see, a lot of the countries have exactly the same number of representatives, so we're not going to be going into detail as to who number 23 is and who number 24 is, because there's virtually no way of finding out. I mean, we can go based on population size, but a lot of people might argue that that's not fair because there are certain countries where chess is not popular at all. So based on that, I think it's fair to assume or just accept that all these countries, for example, are fighting for the same place. So we mentioned Cuba, we mentioned Egypt, we mentioned international, we mentioned Spain. So we continue with Turkey, Serbia, Russia, Germany, Bulgaria, Australia, United Arab Emirates, Poland, Italy, Iran, Greece, Vietnam, Uzbekistan, Portugal, Peru, Norway, New Zealand, Netherlands, Latvia, Israel, Hong Kong, Georgia, China, Belgium, Zambia. And as you can see, these countries have only one or two cheaters out of all these 248 that this is based on. So we've got Venezuela, Tunisia, Thailand, Syria, Sweden, Sri Lanka, Seychelles, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Nepal, Mexico, Luxembourg, Laos, Kazakhstan, Hungary, Fiji, Djibouti, Denmark, Czechia, Catalonia, Cambodia, Bangladesh, Austria, Armenia, Argentina, Angola, Afghanistan. So that's all the countries in the list. And as for the limitations of this approach, I know people might say, okay, but 248 cheetahs is not a sample big enough that you can base your conclusions on. And people might argue that we need a much bigger sample. However, I really don't think that a much bigger sample is needed here, because if you go through all the data for the cheetahs, it is in chronological order. So it is not like all the American cheetahs or all the Indian cheetahs were in August 2023 and there were none after. They were spread evenly, so you can assume that if you add another 248 cheetahs, or if you treble or quadruple that sample, this trend is going to remain the same. If anyone else is interested in adding this data to their own findings, you can message me and I will send you all of this, and maybe you can continue the research further. Another possible limitation of this approach is that you might say that a lot depends on what time zone you're playing in exactly, because if you're playing in the same time zone, in the same hours, you're more likely to encounter certain nations rather than others. And that is a valid point. So everyone is free to use this data as they see fit. I have already drawn my conclusions. I understand the data is open to interpretation, so feel free to use and interpret it in any way you see fit. I think that's all for today. Thank you very much for watching. Please do subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video.